While in a standing clinch, you can still navigate and push your opponent into a cage position. Takedowns near the cage will also allow you to enter a cage takedown position. Pressing the opponent against the cage will make it much harder for him to escape. Clinch up with the opponent, press him against the cage, and knock him out. If you are on the ground near the cage wall, you can perform a transition into the cage, which will allow you to sweep the opponent and end up in a top position. Go ahead and try to perform a cage transition now. If your head is pointing at the cage wall, you can use a transition to enter a seated cage position. From here, you can transition again and scramble up the fence back to your feet and avoid your opponent's ground and pound. Try to transition to the seated cage position now. When your opponent throws a strike, you can counter grapple and catch it if your timing is right. If you counter grapple a head kick or a body kick, you'll catch your opponent's leg. They'll be at your mercy, so take advantage by performing a striking attack or executing a takedown. If you counter grapple an incoming leg kick, you'll avoid punishment and do damage to your opponent's leg and not your own. Great timing and fast reflexes are the key. Now it's your turn to practice counter grappling strikes. Give it a try. Every action you perform utilizes energy. Be careful not to use more than you have, or you'll become gassed. When gassed, your movement and striking speed are reduced, and all your attributes are decreased. It doesn't matter how good your technique or how powerful your strikes are. If you're too tired to move, you're a sitting duck. Try to land at least 20 strikes without being gassed. While they are rare, if you hit your opponent right on the button with a major counter strike, there's a chance that you may end the fight with a flash knockout. Try to land a flash knockout as the opponent strikes. If an opponent is attempting a takedown, you can halt their takedown with a devastating knee strike as seen here. This intercept strike is a punishing way to shut down a fighter who relies too much on his wrestling. Let's see you try to land a knee as the opponent shoots in on you. Sometimes you're given the opportunity to execute a reverse submission. When an opponent tries to throw you in the clinch or tries to escape from certain ground positions, these are the prime instances when reverse submissions are available. Reversal submissions require expert timing, but they have a much higher chance of tapping out your opponent than a normal submission attempt. Try to perform a reversal submission now. Quick strikes are a great way to soften up your opponent, and because they are faster than strong strikes, they also cannot be counter-grappled. Mix in a good number of quick strikes to stay unpredictable and prevent being counter-grappled. Also, if you perform a major counter by landing a quick strike just as your opponent starts a strong strike, you will disrupt his arc of attack. This creates a great opening for you to follow up with a big combo. Work on striking here, and do not let the opponent counter-grapple your attacks. Not all strikes are the same. Each one has different characteristics and damaging potential. For example, sharp attacks like elbows are more likely to cut a fighter, and heavy strikes, like hammer fists, are more likely to rock your opponent. Try to open a cut on your opponent, or rock him with different attacks now. Ground sways are key to avoiding damage on the ground. In certain positions like the full guard, you can use a ground sway to dodge incoming strikes. This is a great way to avoid damage, but be careful. If you swing into a hook, you will actually increase the damage taken. Take some time here and practice ground swaying. If your opponent is on top and working to transition to a sub position, you can block their attempts as seen here and hold them where they are. You can also use this tactic to prevent them from posturing up and hitting you with strong strikes. As the attacker, if the opponent has a hold of you, you can strike your way out of the hold, as seen here, in order to free up and land more damaging attacks. Time for some defense. Try to keep the opponent from entering a sub position. Strikes to the head are the most common way to score a knockout, but they're not the only way. You can also score a knockout by continuously landing shots to the body. You can also cause TKOs by repeatedly kicking an opponent's leg. Although it's less probable, it's possible for a TKO to occur due to leg injury sustained from repeated leg kick checks. Let's see you earn a knockout or TKO through body shots or repeated leg kicks. When you're in a single collar tie or Muay Thai clinch, your strikes will vary depending on how you control the opponent. Moving forward, your strikes will be weaker, but you will push your opponent forward. This is an effective way to push them up against the cage or maintain control. Pulling away from the opponent will create space and make your strikes more powerful. Your opponent can also push in or pull back in the clinch. If you are both pushing forward at the same time, you'll be too close and strikes will be ineffective. If you are both pulling back at the same time, the clinch will be very easy to escape. Your clinch striking will be at its best if you're pushing forward while your opponent is moving backward and vice versa. You can taunt or perform friendly gestures like touching gloves simply by inputting the commands as shown. You can also cancel a taunt at any time by pressing any button. To keep your opponents on their toes, try mixing in some feints. You can not only feint striking attacks, but you can also feint takedown attempts. Being unpredictable helps disrupt your opponent's timing and creates openings. It's especially effective when facing a counter striker or an opponent who relies heavily on blocking. Take a moment to practice performing feints. If two fighters are on the ground or in the clinch, and neither one can take any effective actions, the referee will break them up and restart them in the standing position. You can use this strategically if you are being dominated and can't scramble to your feet or break the clinch.
Let's go, come on!
Go ahead and try to trigger a stalemate now.
Let's go, come on! Let's go, come on! Stop! Get up! Okay, guys, let's go! Fight!
If you're on the ground and you rock an opponent, you have a great opportunity to finish the fight. You can look to put them away with strikes, lock in a submission, or take the opportunity to transition into a more dominant position.
Let's go, come on!
For your training, rock the opponent and then perform a transition.
Come on, guys, action!
When one fighter is standing and another is on the ground, it's called the up-down position. Each fighter has some unique and powerful attacks from here.